titling this one, What Are the Odds? What are the odds? A phrase that you would say, when something good miraculously happens, something unexpectedly bad happens. What are the odds? But what are the odds is also a phrase that's, of course, in response to gambling. And this is a follow-on episode to a few shows which I've done over the past week or so. And let's put it this way. This is the most serious accusation anybody is making about anything right now on the internet. Charlie Kirk, killed, not killed, assassinated, not assassinated. Lindsey Graham, maybe there was foul play. I'm talking about somebody being asked to lie to become the face of an epidemic, which is the second largest loss of life event in the history of the United States of America, just to control the narrative. That's what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that somebody lied about one of their children having died when they haven't died. They lied about one of their children having died. They were at the age where they were about to go into a military. Lied about them so they could become the face of the opioid epidemic, which is part of the America's problem with addiction. And this isn't just some person off the street. They chose a lingerie model, someone that was in the 2006 Lingerie Bowl with Jenny McCarthy. But if you looked at any of the videos, and, well, I have to admit, I did a lot of studying on this particular subject. I said, I'm sorry, Cheryl, I just have to watch all these women in lingerie play football for a while. I have to study it. She's like, okay, Mark, you do what you got to do. Anyways, I studied and I studied. I wasn't able to find her specifically, but I looked very closely. And you may have noticed that in the 2006 Women's Lingerie Bowl, that was sponsored by Bodog, B-O-D-O-G, which is a company related to online gambling. And it just so happens that Ann Fundner's cousin, her cousin, is the founder of Sports911.com and Gambling911.com. There's a man named, his name is Christopher or Chris Costigan, Costigan. And I'll show you the evidence. And Christopher Costigan was part of founding Sports911.com, which is not really an online betting platform, but it helped people find places to place bets, as well as determine online odds. And Sports911.com has combined with Gambling911.com. As a matter of fact, Sports911.com redirects to Gambling911.com. Gambling911.com is not just sports gambling, but it even includes political gambling. It even includes placing bets on whether you think, a president is going to get elected, whether or not there's going to be 10 hurricanes or something, how much damages a company's going to have to pay. You can make up and bet on anything. It's not just a matter of who's going to win the NCAA men's, March Madness. You can bet on anything. And isn't it crazy that potentially the 2024 election, which resulted in, at least official narrative is Trump winning, might have been impacted by the fact that the cousin of the founder of Gambling911.com not only had a child die of fentanyl, got the stage, got in front of people like me, got in front of people like Cheryl Jouer, got in front of people who actually did have children, in some cases multiple children die of the opioid epidemic, but she's a lingerie model who probably lied about the fact that she had a child die. Her organization, Gambling911.com, these companies are based in like Barbados. So now you have an organization that's staffed with people, half of their staffers are from India, saying that fentanyl from China killed Americans. The same message that she gave on the stage as she's being supported by Kash Patel. It's so off the wall bad. So not only can they use a lingerie model to put in front of people that actually did have children die and have her lie about having a child die? Remember, she was with General Flynn at CPAC 24 hours before. Where there is gambling, there are mafia connections. Christy, there's mafia all over the place. I could spend the rest of my life just on what I said in the last 20 minutes. And to be quite honest, I'm getting a little tired. Not of you, my audience, you spectacular. What the hell is everyone else doing? If I look at my YouTube feed, and I subscribe to a lot of stuff that doesn't really have value as far as real insights other than how people are being misled, I have to follow a lot of crap. Half this fake conservative media right now is focused on whether or not Candace Owens is sad or mad today. Like, who gives a shit? I mean, just another person. The size of this drug epidemic, for those who need to be reminded, I thought that 40,000 drug overdose deaths a year was sort of a baseline at one point. Then I realized that in the year 1999, there were 18,000 fatal drug overdose deaths in the United States. And I'm like, wow. Well, maybe that was a low. Maybe it used to be a lot. Because I remember we used to have this war on drugs in the United States, and everyone said it was failing. We were told that they were going to get rid of all the black people in the United States with crack cocaine. Now, to get rid of all the black people in the United States with crack cocaine, if someone were to pursue that, you're going to need to be killing at least 200,000 people a year. So I figured the number of drug overdose deaths in the United States was really high. And then come to find out, in the year 1980, the number of fatal drug overdoses in the United States was 6,000. So in the year 2022, we were operating at nearly 20 times the baseline of fatal drug overdoses in the United States. And I'm supposed to believe that 20-time increase in the most likely cause of death of people under 45 is not going to impact life expectancy and provide data which could be used to suggest we had a deadly novel virus? Well, where did that deadly novel virus come from? Holy shit! It came from China, exactly as the online betting company suggested, exactly as the lying mom who's faking the death of her own child said. Working with agents of India. With cousins staffed by people from India. With fentanyl, cart fentanyl, oftentimes precursors from India. With a deadly novel virus where all the signatures of it, oh my goodness, came from India. You wouldn't even believe it. The Madhar Parakar Institute of Defense Intelligence Analysis is provided us all of this wonderful data that China made the virus. China leaked the lab. China came out with the fentanyl. China came out with the cart fentanyl. China wants to kill people. The fake lying mom, blonde woman is lying about the death of her own child, being boosted by an online gambling company. Oh, sorry to waste your time, everybody. You can go back to seeing if Candace Owens is crying or not tonight. Who gives a shit? There's celebrations that the United States went down to 70,000 fatal drug overdose. Oh my goodness. Yeah, we should really celebrate. That's only 12 times our baseline still. In a nation with a dropping population growth, smaller families, meaning the impact is going to be even worse over time. God bless democracy. You know what democracy is? Democracy means whoever is still alive at the next election wins. And if you murder people, you can get away with it. That's what democracy is. And that's why I'm starting to sour a little bit on democracy. It seems to prioritize the fact that you can kill people and get away with it. That's the little part about democracy that it doesn't seem to be getting a whole lot of attention right now. Gambling on deaths, yes. So let's just start going over some freaking evidence here. It's freaking unbelievable here. This is Elizabeth Ann Hagen's site. Of course, I've already gone over a lot of this stuff with you here. So in the video that we have of Elizabeth Ann Hagen, okay, and I will clean this up a little bit later, there's an interview of her from 2021. This interview here, it was on a show which only ran for 1 year called The Coriolis Effect. Very nice host. The show seemed to be fairly well done. I went through the guests on this particular podcast, and usually I find hits. Like, I'll find people that have been on all these other podcasts. I found this particular podcast very interesting because very few people I've ever seen before. It's almost as if someone might have even tried to do it right. You know, I think it could happen from time to time. Anyways, Elizabeth Ann Founder wound up on episode 15 and on March 18th, 2021. Now, remember, her son died 24 hours after she was at CPAC with General Flynn, and she was, of course, on the other coast. And her son died on, it was February 27th, 2022. So almost 11 months after this. They talk in this interview about how she has already become the darling of the alt media in 2021 at CPAC. So I guess everyone saw her and like, wow, who's this woman with all this cosmetic surgery who looks so Barbie-ish? And she was starting to get a little bit of momentum. If you look at the New York Times article about Ann Funder, she's just a mom. Now, being a mom is a beautiful thing. I don't mean to suggest that someone who is a mom is just a mom. What I'm trying to suggest, though, is that someone who is a mom is awesome. But if you're a mom, and you got to focus on that. That is an everything job, okay? That is an everything job to do right, or at least do the best you can. Do the best with devices that God gave you. And if someone is a mom and they are, I don't know, just a Playboy model, I don't know. I'm lacking imagination at the moment, I guess. Someone would usually say that to be like, oh, they are a Playboy model and they're a mom or something like that, right? You do the compound because most people aren't Playboy models. Thank goodness. So here she is talking about herself and her arise. And
start the show.
Let's start. Welcome to the Coriolis Effect. Oh my goodness, we have Anna Elizabeth in the studio today, who is the...
And of course, she's excited because she's a somebody, right? And they do a little bit of an introduction. Now, this is a cleaned up version I reposted on BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey, and my PeerTube. It's a cleaned up version. It gets rid of the ads at the beginning, and it starts with a little bit more punch. I didn't do the whole 1 hour and 20-something minute interview cleanup, but the beginning is the most important part here.
Okay, and so tell me a little bit about, because I often wonder, you're shaking your head at me?
No, I'm looking at things.
I often wonder what the security, I know you can't go into total details, but that's not an easy conference to get into.
She's
talking about CPAC.
They're coming after the hotel. Was it Hilton?
Just think the Republican Party is just fine theirs. With people like Marjorie Greene.
Of course, she's already promoting Marjorie Greene. Marjorie Greene right now is all over the internet celebrating the death of Graham. Isn't it crazy how John Kiriko, some anti-American person whose whole life has been about India and Pakistan, who has been celebrated by this unknown woman named Pamela Drew, who I actually think his name is Amit someone in Jay's chat, is... oh my goodness, I'm totally losing track here.
Just backtrack a little bit, because you were a model in New York.
Here we go.
And you came to Los Angeles, and then you kind of transitioned and are now a host. You're hosting your own show, Smart Conservatives, on Roku and Facebook and Instagram. Tell us a little bit about your journey and who you are, where you came from, just all the good stuff.
Watch your hands. Ann Elizabeth is going to get really uncomfortable in this interview. This is 11 months before her son did not die.
Well, I have a background in journalism, communications, and radio, TV, film in college. But then I moved to New York City, where it's really impossible to start in New York City in journalism, because that's where, after you've done the Fresno market or the small town market, you then graduate to these bigger markets and then eventually make it to New York. So starting in New York was just very difficult unless I wanted to work a camera, which that wasn't my dream job. So then I went into sales because communications was my major, and I'm obviously outspoken. So I had a great sales career, but then I was presented with an opportunity to do some sports reporting, which I did.
For who?
For a friend. They have a sports blog called Sports911.
A friend, Sports Blog 911. A sports blog, just a blog, right? It's just a blog, and it's a friend.
And it just gives, they interview people, it gives odds and stuff like that. But anyway, it gave me the opportunity to interview, Magic Johnson and...
So it's just a friend. It's just a friend. Okay, so now that we know she was at this place it's just a friend. Okay, let me see if I can find. Okay, look at this. Gambling911. Breaking gambling news since 1999. Let me scoot out of the way a little bit. Odds available on Trump's RNC speech at Bet Online. Wow. So this is amazing. So the odds of Trump's speech, you can bet on them per Gambling911.com. And this is an article written by someone named T.C. Jackson on July 16th, 2024. Now remember, Ann Funder spoke at the RNC. She spoke at the RNC. If you go back to my videos on her, Ann Funder spoke at the RNC, and this is Gambling911.com about the odds at the RNC, and it reads as follows. Bet Online on Tuesday released a series of prop bets pertaining to GOP nominee Donald Trump's Republican National Committee speech, RNC speech. Trump is expected to address delegates on Thursday evening, the last day of the convention when he is formally nominated by Republicans to be the next president of the United States. In light of the recent attempt on Trump's life Saturday during a rally in Pennsylvania, odds makers are anticipating a much larger audience for this speech. On Wednesday night, the cousin of Gambling911's founder and Elizabeth Funder had everyone in tears at the RNC as she spoke about how fentanyl epidemic took the life of her 15-year-old son Weston in 2022. Trump himself stood to applaud here. I have to remind you, Trump owns casinos. So Ann Funder is cousins of the founder of Sports911.com. Sports911.com became Gambling911.com. Gambling911.com, where you can gamble on everything. And here they are talking about how the odds are going to be impacted by someone who's the cousin of their founder. Keep in mind, I've already arrived at this point, willing to bet blood that she is lying about the death of her oldest son, meaning she is not only being used to stand in front of other people that actually had children die. We are talking about Americans whose parents, grandparents, great-grandparents served in the United States. Sometimes they died in service. Or uncles died in service. Their children have died of an overdose. But they are not on the stage. Instead, someone who's lying about the death of one of their children is on stage in front of people who did have children who died. Not only that, but her cousin is the founder of Sports911.com, which became Gambling911.com. None of this was disclosed by Trump. None of this was disclosed by Patel. None of this was disclosed by Marjorie Taylor Greene. None of this was exposed by anybody else as she's on a stage. She's just a mom. Now, Gambling911, if you want to dig deeper, is connected in with Bodog, B-O-D-O-G, and Bodog is the supporter of the Jenny McCarthy lingerie Super Bowl in the year 2006. You'll see the Bodog sign all over the place. Bodog right now, you can even read articles talking about odds making, about things that Trump is doing. How can I not say the F word in this show? How could you allow yourself or your friends go back to caring about what Candace Owens says? For heaven's sake. This is one of the worst things I've ever seen. I had no idea it was going to go to this online betting thing. And then it involves, oh my gosh. Gosh damn, it's so bad, guys. It is so bad. I don't have the words to, even if I was F-bombing right now, I would still be failing to describe how serious this is. We're talking about, well, there's bullets, there's fugitives. There's assassinations involved in here. Of course, everything goes back to Miami Beach. Web gambling. Kash Patel is already... Look, Rod Rosenstein was even involved in some of this stuff back in 2006. I can't believe that they were so ballsy that they actually used a family member to control the opioid epidemic. The opioid precursors coming from India, not China. India, with a company that is staffed by people from India. Being promoted with her story now being the default story by Kash Patel. And then you go right back to Trump and his casinos, formerly known as the freaking Taj Mahal. I don't have the words. I don't even know how to put a show together on this. This shit's not entertaining anymore. Yeah, here we go. Here's the Built for Lingerie. Yeah, Bodog.net, LingerieBowl.2, pay-per-view 2006. That's the one that Ann Fundner was in. I haven't watched the full version yet. FBI is already involved in this. So in other words, Kash Patel, as the head of the FBI, should know damn well that his organization has already been all over relatives of Ann Fundner. They've already been down these roads. It involves cryptocurrency. It involves decentralization. It involves money laundering. It involves this guy named Calvin Ayre. I never even heard of this name before. Calvin Ayre, he's being promoted somehow. He was considered America's most eligible bachelor at some point. Canadian Antiguan. So he's running money somewhere down south. Blockchain. Holy shit. And they're using a family member to get in front of real Americans who had people die in the opioid epidemic. They are tilting the odds of who wins elections. So they're not only controlling elections, they're even winning money in the process by putting their own people on stage and getting us to believe that they are the people that had family members die of drug overdoses. They are the people that are fixing the odds of what we think, where the hell that pesky little virus came from. Yeah, we had 1.1 million additional deaths over baseline. Let's never do the math, everybody, about how many people died of a protocol that started with supplemental oxygen, several 100,000 additional deaths above and beyond our baseline from fentanyl or from drug overdoses in general. Remember, 6,000 per year is our baseline from 1980. Let's just not even talk about that. Let's not even talk about, testing against a background signal that we had no information before, and the fact that our population pyramid was already set up to a point where we were going to have more people die in the first place. Instead, we are actually making money hand over fist with laundered money from God knows where about who's going to win and whether or not we had a virus and which vaccine is going to go. Using people that are lying about their backstory. It's so much worse than I thought, and I already knew it was bad. But I expect tomorrow, maybe this video may get, 300-400 views. If Dan Cohen is for real, I want him to make sure that this has 25,000 views on YouTube. Real views. And I don't really want the money. But if I don't see like a quadrupling of my Patreon in the next week from all new people, I'll know that he doesn't get any reach either. So either he's there to get me to think something is happening, but nothing is. Because that's how this game plays. When you're giving your money to people, you're not giving your money to people that need your money. You're giving it to people who are being paid to make content to make sure you and your friend circles never hear about me and can't support me. That's really the goal. Or Jonathan Cooey. That's the point. The point isn't for them to make money because they already work with unlimited funds. This unlimited money through all the laundering and, rigged gambling and all this other stuff, they don't need it. Their job is to make sure there is no money left to go anywhere else. That's their job. Hence, there are no real independents, or there's almost none. I've been blessed with the fact that I had a fairly successful career and have been able to do this. And I have an amazing wife, and that's it. And I found out about things at certain times. That's the only reason I'm here and still going. This is so bad. I need time to put it into words how bad all of this is. Imagine how hard it's going to be to communicate this to other people who had children die in the drug epidemic, who are wondering why people that are listening to them aren't on the stage right now. And I have to tell them a decision was made to put a lingerie model who's married into an online gambling company that's been offshoring money and been rigging elections, rigging perceptions by having people lie about their tragedies on stages. You don't think that if they're willing to lie about having someone have a child die of a drug overdose, they're not willing to make up some stories about being trafficked on an airplane? Oh, they're being trafficked all over the place. Epstein is so bad. Of course they'll do that shit. I'm sorry, I'm not more positive right now, but it is really that bad. It's so bad, Subi. It's so bad, Christy. It's just so bad. I don't have words. I mean, in this whole story of this guy here, again, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. And please, I'm not looking, for everyone to do deep dives. You reach a point where you just go, oh, I can't even archive it all anymore. I noticed that the websites for sports911.com where there's a lot of stuff scrubbed. And when I was having a hard time finding videos, her videos in particular, I'm like, okay, something stinks here. This is bad. And I just started digging, and it got worse and worse and worse. I've never really been interested in this gambling stuff or blockchain. You can look at my history, I'm like, okay, people are going to gamble, whatever. You can tell my record. I have 6-7 years right now. I talked about skimming a little bit, but it hasn't really interested me that much. I have this weird take it or leave it, okay, there's going to be some crime. People are going to steal stuff. There's going to be some dishonesty. There's going to be some money laundering. I'm like, we know what it is. I've been prioritizing. All right, someone wants to skim some money in a fake online casino. All right, you know what? All things being equal, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I'm not like, oh my goodness, someone isn't paying taxes on an offshore casino account. Oh, I don't care. To me, that seems a negligible crime compared to 1 million fatal drug overdoses. It's just like, oh, okay, whatever. That's interesting. Chalk it up. Put a pin in it. I don't even think about it. How could Kash Patel actually clear his schedule in the middle of 1 million people dying of a drug epidemic and go, gee, I'm really interested in $10,000 crime today? How does he do it? Other than the fact that he's a paid actor there to distract you. They all are. So I need to get back to my archiving. This was very much of a rant session. This is very much of just a brain dump session. It's really bad. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you. Take care. God bless.